We're alternative radio from right here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
I'm Johnny Guitar. I play guitar.
I'm Stark. I sing and play the drums.
And I'm Otto Valentine, and I play bass.
And then Nick's not here, but plays keyboard. We're a 4-piece rock and roll group that plays a little bit of glam too. That was one I came up with. Honestly, I kind of lifted it from another band. It's a British band called Alternative TV or Television, I'm not sure. But yeah, I just switched the end.
Yeah.
Oh, and then we actually played a show recently, and they had us on the bill under Alternative Television, and there was like this couple from out of town that showed up, and they thought it was the other band, but it was us. So
they went from
pretty
like
funny.
Minnesota or something. They were on business already, so it wasn't like, you know.
They were really disappointed.
Well, it's like
They were
a
disappointed.
super obscure, like, small British band from the 70s, so they're like, wow, they're playing this sound. But no. After that all kind of happened, it was nice because you could book venues that you probably couldn't have. There were probably like 10 bands that were kind of running the scene before that, and they were always getting the good venues. And then right as we were coming in, a lot of those bands were coming out and leaving the scene, so it kind of gave us the opportunity to get into like all the Bremen, all the River West venues within like our first year or second year, and sometimes that takes longer. So that was nice. Yeah, as far as like fitting into the scene, it's been really interesting. I definitely think the scene is doing better and is healthier than it was, say, 5 years ago. I wouldn't, personally, in my opinion, I wouldn't say it's as good as it was like 15 or 30 years ago or whatever. But I honestly think it's slowly getting better. Yeah, it's been interesting. Whereas the scene is kind of evolving, the scene really just involves like a small core group of bands. I guess there's more than a few bands, but like a certain style. It's very indie oriented.
Yeah, it's very indie oriented, so it may be a very thriving scene to some. It's not that good for, let's say, ska or rock and roll or things like that. There's definitely more for a certain genre than there are for others.
Yeah, because we were playing with a lot of those bands before that scene kind of took off. I don't know, a lot of times their fans would like... We had this one show, we played with this like... well, I'll say their name because it wasn't their fault, but like we played with Moonglow, and then before we even played a single note, 50 people left the building. So we've experienced that. Yeah, it's hard because we don't know too many other bands that sound like us in Madison. There's some blues bands that do, like Jason Vargas is very similar. But yeah, we just like don't really have the ability to like, here's 50 of our fans we're bringing, here's 50 of yours, also we have 100. It's interesting. Chicago's got similar bands. Poison Boys is one.
Awful.
No, actually. Oh, I thought you were saying they're awful.
No, awful.
Yeah.
No, that's the band.
I was gonna say, I'm on good terms with those guys. But yeah, a band called Awful. We're not calling the Poison Boys Awful. Yeah, Chicago's got its own kind of thing. A lot of those bands are very in a similar vein. They're kind of Johnny Thunder's early punk inspired with like a touch of like power pop. But those bands are also kind of got their own scene too. We almost don't fit in that either. So we'll have like one-off shows with those people, but we're not really able to get into that scene either. We're trying out Ohio. We're doing our first Ohio tour. Columbus is called Used Kid Records. Me and our manager had actually gone to Columbus once and just like to like drop off, well, kind of vacation / like how many record stores can we get our cassettes into. So we made some connections, and that was one of the, I don't know, there were like just every record store we go to, they'd be like, yeah, we'll take 6 and here's the money right now. And like here it's like, yeah, we'll take 1 and I'll call you back if I sell it and then give you $3. So it's just, I don't know, they were like,
And you have to fill out a form.
really like, we just felt a lot of love when we went there. I even went to like get some pomade at like a rockabilly like barber shop, and the guy ended up buying a cassette from us. I was like, oh, okay. So he pretty much just handed me back the money that I just bought the stuff with. But your music doesn't always have the market in your own like hometown. A lot of bands have to move. I don't think we want to move, but like it might mean we have to build on like Spotify before we can play big like sold out shows and stuff.
Yeah, I think like we were very popular over in like the New York and LA region. Actually, that whole rock and roll scene there in general is just
Chicago.
pretty big.
Chicago got up to like 1,000 monthly listeners.
Yeah.
We have like 900 monthly listeners in
Madrid or something.
Madrid,
In
Spain. So it's just like, I think there's proof that our music's good and people like it. It's just like, this might not be the market, at least for now, until maybe we'll inspire some bands and then kind of get our own scene in Milwaukee. But I feel like we constantly swing back and forth.
It's about the same. Yeah.
With like kind of our efforts, we'll really like push some music, and then once we like run out of money, like, oh crap, we just did an album and like together as a band have like almost put like $3,000 into this, so let's just focus on shows for a while. Yeah, honestly, our releases have been way more rewarding than like our shows locally. I think as a band, we really enjoy live shows. We just haven't been able to move the needle on that as much.
Live shows are the best.
Yeah.
I think
that's where we shine a lot.
Yeah,
Like,
I think
our
we do shine.
shows.
I think we're pretty like fun to watch and kind of do the whole like dressing up thing, and that a lot of bands don't do these days.
I think the biggest influence starting off was the Stooges for me and Peyton when we first started the band. Television.
Probably Dolls.
Yeah, the Dolls.
New York Dolls. You listen to a lot of like really old school blues.
Yeah, like
Like deep
Boomer
cuts
Blues, Magic Sam and Shaky Jake. Look those guys up.
Yeah, they'll change your life.
They've got like one album on Spotify. It sounds pretty sweet. It's very lo-fi recording. It feels like you're in like some dive bar in the South. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, mine are pretty similar. We used to carpool to school together. Originally, I don't think our music tastes were even.
No, dude.
I used to just put on like the hardest to like digest music and just like force him to listen to it every day, like super loud on the way, and he always hated it.
Dude.
And then by like, was it senior year?
I like
or-
the Clash. I like the
I
Clash.
like the Clash.
Yeah, I started listening to the Clash freshman
But whenever I
year.
turn on like some British band that recorded on like a 4-track or something, it was mostly he wanted to turn it down, but
Yeah.
after a while I think he gave in.
Finally broke.
But now I listen to pretty similar stuff. I don't know, like I've had a bunch of different stuff I've been to. Like two-tone, I'm really into glam music right now. But we've always had the core group of bands like Rolling Stones, New York Dolls, Stooges. Yeah, those are like the main big four, I think. And then just whatever bands that creep in there, but...
I listen to a lot of stuff. I don't listen to anything too particular. I don't listen to music in my spare time, really, even though I play bass and whatnot. But I grew up listening to a lot of classic rock and like Kiss, Rolling Stones, Aerosmith, things like that. Meatloaf, that's a great one. My grandfather used to work for a record store, and growing up, my dad would always get like vinyls and stuff like that, and he just kept them, and then I listened to him later on, you know. Growing up, you get your little scene tick, so I listened to My Chemical Romance, All Time Low, and other garbage like that.
Massive influences.
Yeah.
On
Yellow
our sound,
Card, all the good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really listen to too terribly much stuff. I like making it. It's
I
fun.
listen to brown noise sometimes.
Brown noise.
Yeah. It's really good.
Right now, especially like 70s. Yeah, the reason like why I'm so like anal on like trying to like nail down like a look for the band is probably just my love for the New York Dolls, and like Sylvain, their guitarist, was like a tailor, which actually our manager's kind of like training to become a tailor right now. So he helps us a lot with like, I don't know, he can like make custom pieces and stuff, and just helps make sure we kind of like look good. And then also their drummer, Jerry Nolan, I read something or watched like an interview, and they were talking about him. They went to crazy lengths. Like he used to like teach their band how to like walk and just like this crazy stuff, and like had all these like rules their band did. They wouldn't be seen ever as like the band who would come with like a bag of their clothes and then they'd like go in the bathroom and come out like, oh, here we are, like with my stage stuff. They kind of just made it seem really authentic. It was almost like music and clothes, and they were kind of on the same level. At least for like, I don't think it really matters if you're playing other types of music, but like if you're a rock and roll band, like the audience shouldn't look like they're in a band more than you. It's different, like, I don't know, like grunge stuff. Obviously the whole thing was like, we're trying to look like the average person and stuff, but with like the type of band we're trying to be, I feel like it's important to kind of like a heightened version of your actual true like self.
Okay, so I'd say the craziest, there's multiple crazy things, but one of them would be the booty solo, starting the show with a booty solo. And if you don't know what booty solo is, then I'm sorry. You'll have to just find out.
Come to our show.
You have to come to our show. Other than that, these past couple of shows, we've been really leaning into the whole military theme. So we've had a smoke machine, and we've played air raid sirens over a loudspeaker.
Yeah, because Bremen, they always, like, every time a new band comes on, you got to get everyone who's outside smoking or by the bar to come in. So we had, like, air raid, like, siren go, like...
Right. We felt like such idiots doing it, because what we were doing is we were, like, marching.
We had, like...
we were soldiers.
Yeah, and then we had, like, spotlights on us, and he had, like, a gas mask when all the smoke was going everywhere. Then he takes it off, and he goes... And then Otto hands him like a cigarette, and then he just plays like the opening song of the cigarette. We used to do No Fun by the Stooges, the cover.
That was so, yeah.
And I used to kind of like emulate some of the stage moves. Like, I used to think we could dive with like, I had like one of those, just a microphone stand that's not like a boom stand, it's just straight up and down. I'd like dive with it, and then like, it's hard to do because he was on like heroin when he did it, so... He didn't have to like worry about how his body's gonna land. Like I'd have to shut that off in my brain and like just jump. And I'd like jump with it. And there was a time I like landed and then it just like snapped because I'm like full out just like diving head first with. Like, if you've ever seen the videos of him doing, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, or I just used to like do weird stuff. Like X-Ray, I'd go leave the stage and play the arcade. I jumped on some fan's shoulders. I knew who he was, but I jumped on his shoulders and he like fell over. We always get like, our audience draws like really like normie people. And there's like a girl who like probably was at Starbucks like an hour earlier. And I'd like walk around with the microphone and like be staring everyone down and like go like this and they'd be like, oh. So that's what we like. I like that. Like,
yeah, that was fun.
A lot of our audience is just like really normal people. And I don't know how they ended up there. There was like a lifestyle blogger who showed up at our last like album release show, and she like put on her story, and then you see her rest of her page. It's like her dog, and like, oh, I went on this like walk, and then it's just like nice. A video of like us in like full like military surplus stuff, like marching. But I don't know, it's fun. So a lot of times it's just us doing stuff, and the audience just like watches, and we can't tell if we're like just a spectacle, if they hate it, if they're just like. We're one of the bands where you just kind of watch and like you're so confused you don't really have time to like run around and stuff. You're just kind of like, what's going on? But we try to do that, find creative ways to make it hard to ignore us, even if you don't like our music. Like, oh, I went to their show and they did that. That's kind of what we try to do.
That band.
And yeah, the military thing's pretty new, but like I've seen definitely a change just from the few shows we've done. I don't know, it gets people excited for some reason. Gives them like
it's different, you know.
Everyone knows who the people who do know us know who the military band is already.
G.I. Joe boys.
I guess this kind of goes back to my taste in music and Peyton's taste in music, and we've kind of both kind of met in the middle. I feel.
Yeah.
You know, we're starting to do stuff that's a little bit more like glam rock, but I want to start. It'd be nice if we could start writing more pop songs. It's kind of our focus, stuff that's a little bit more catchier.
Yeah, I think we want to be like, take like any like the glam sensibilities from like glam bands from like the late 60s or 70s, but I want to be like, just take, I don't know, like T-Rex or even like Sweet or something. And I love those bands, but sometimes honestly, are like Bay City Rollers. They can teeter on kind of like, I don't know, like Bay City Rollers is a great example, great band, but like half their audience were like little girls because like they'd write this super like poppy music, but some of the edge would be out. I want to find this weird balance of like super accessible music, but the band looks crazy. We're doing crazy things, and every once in a while, like Johnny's got like some crazy solo in the middle of like a really poppy song where you're just like, what? I can't believe that's in there. Like that sort of thing. I think Dolls are a fairly good example of that, but I think we want to go slightly more pop than them probably.
Yeah.
But still keep the crazy.
Because I think like an example of that would be Get Back Woman. It's like one of our latest singles that we released.
Yeah.
That's definitely way more poppier, and it actually has like a chorus that you can sing, and there's it kind of switch like it kind of 2/3 of the way through the song it switches, and there's kind of just an outro section that you can kind of drag on as long as you want.
Yeah.
It's pretty catchy.
We're doing like outros and like intro. Like we used to be really just like run and gun, like plug in and play.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff. A lot of the music, especially when the band started, like I was always listening to bands or like the Ramones and stuff, or just like chorus, verse, chorus, like stuff like
or
that.
Stooges, where it's just the same thing the entire song.
Yeah.
It's the same riff.
And like I think he's getting the urge to like want to sit down and like really craft songs.
Like actually write songs.
And then like just the stuff I'm listening to is stuff that I never thought I'd listen to years ago, like Kiss or like Mott the Hoople's got like parts where the drums or the guitar doesn't come into like 10 bars into the song because it's got like some piano intro.
And we have a new keyboard player who's like classically trained. He's a jazz pianist, and so I'm kind of hoping that I'm hoping he'll be able to offer some assistance with writing. It'd be nice to have another person who's got some more of a classically trained background that could offer some advice. And he's an extremely good pianist.
Like you're not.
I'm like trained, but like
Oh,
you guys say like I'm a Neanderthal or something.
No, I'm
No,
as
no,
a
no,
band.
no, I'm just saying.
We taught ourselves, so we're definitely not.
Well, like I was in concert band in school from 5th grade all the way to graduation, and I picked up bass in middle school. So a lot of those skills and a lot of those things transfer over, and just even strong song structure and like learning what timing is and measuring beats.
But like
staccatos.
The two of us, if like I was told I wanted to do band when I was a kid, and some teacher was like, "All right, clap," and they're like, "Yeah, you can never be in the band." I'm like, "What?" And then I like eventually did end up being in the band. I played snare, and I couldn't like ever like understand the sheet music, so I just quit that, and then like tried to do guitar, couldn't do that. So like we just are very much from the school of like self-taught.
Yeah, like I was basically learning as I was playing in the band, so.
Yeah, our first song you'd only play guitar.
I didn't even know. Like I just knew how to play power chords for the first song.
You're like year 3 now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
So
3.5. But
with Otto and Nick, I guess then we didn't really know that much about.
I'm new.
His
and
his
from
past
Ohio.
with music. But yeah, so now the band, and like Josh before was very talented, but he also was like us. He very self-taught, so now we kind of got people who've got some more formal training, I guess. Like, don't you have like an uncle that's like a voice teacher?
Yeah,
or
he
coach?
does. Yeah, he does lessons all the time. He had his own store. And
I
a lot.
I like taught myself how to sing because no one else wanted to sing, and I listened to Richard Hell records, and he's kind of like me. He has like an ugly voice that he makes the best out of, and that's how I learned how to sing. And like
that's how I approach guitar, too.
But yeah, it will be an interesting mix of like taking the influences that are like more structured and like technical, and then still bringing in. I mean, Johnny's like kind of wild side. His favorite guitarist is Johnny Thunders, maybe?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
I don't know if I have a particularly like a favorite guitarist, but
I think a lot of influence though.
Yeah, definitely, because just more of Johnny Thunder's attitude of not really caring what it sounds
but
like.
It's just
like
going
a
very,
for it, and it's more of just how you feel.
Yeah, but there'll be, I think, an interesting mix of the two. We just got to find the balance.
Oh.
We got a few more singles coming out soon. We're going to start, I think, playing more shows out of Milwaukee. I don't think we really have any of us want to like go on like a 3 or 4 week tour, but like just kind of one-offs in different cities, see if our music clicks with any audiences. I think we still, even though we have struggles with Milwaukee, I think we all still love Milwaukee, and would love for our hometown to really get behind our music, but regardless, we're going to keep going and keep putting out music because that seems to be the thing that does the best and brings a lot of satisfaction, having it kind of be a part of people's days.
Stream alternative radio on Spotify, alternative radio MKE on Instagram.
Facebook's just alternative radio.
Facebook. Believe it or not, it's alternative radio.
Yeah, we got a show. It might be over by the time this comes out, but Collectivo, was it 26th or 28th?
The 28th, yeah.
28th of May. With Robot Witch. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Oh yeah. Got it.